Happy Sunday, happy Sunday. It's the legend GMT 24/7 coming to you live from the 215 where it ain't safe outside. How y'all doing this Sunday? How we doing on this beautiful Sunday in Philadelphia, man? It was nice today, fall day. How y'all doing today? I see young Riaz in the building. What's up, young? Petty Betty, Slewfoot Slim. What's up, brother? How you doing, man? Mines. How y'all doing today? How's everyone? Did I miss anybody? I doubt it. Hmm. So yeah, nice day today. I think I come on and give y'all Sunday Story Day with the legend And today I got somebody for y'all. Somebody, a lot of y'all, if you're a boxing fan, you definitely know about this guy. He's a Philadelphia legend. Actually, he's a South Philadelphia legend. One of my OGs, personal, relationship that I had with this individual here. Now I'm gonna give you a story. Now, he was born in Philadelphia 1954, January 16th. Now, when he was born, he back then, I guess, his mother, she couldn't take care of him. So she told his older brother um to take him, the baby. Now, y'all mind you, he's a baby now. I think he was 11 months, no, 8 months old. He was 8 months old when his older brother took him out the house. His mother told her, the older one, to just take him somewhere. So he took him to what they call, if y'all know the Rocky movie, the Ben Franklin Parkway. It's a church up there, the Ben Franklin Church. So he took them and just left him on the steps of the church. The 8-month old infant. He just left him there. And the church lady, one of the nuns, they came that morning. They found him and they took him in, and they couldn't find no. Hey, Miss Murph, good to see you in the building. They couldn't find no records on him. They couldn't find nothing on him. So they named him after the church, Saint Matthew Franklin, Ben Franklin Parkway. The church was Saint Matthew's, so they named the kid Matthew Franklin. Okay, so coming up, Mac, he ain't had no parent. He didn't. He grew up in foster care most of his life. You know what I'm saying? And back then it was tough for a kid. We talking about the '60s and the '70s. You know what I mean? So he moved into a neighborhood of South Philly called 13th Street. Now, if you're from Philadelphia, you know anything about 13th, man, 13th Street, we call 13th Street Saigon. You know what I mean? That's called Saigon. It's ruthless down there in 13th Street. So Matt Franklin, he wound up becoming a member of 13th Street gang. You know what I'm saying? Because he was being picked on a lot. You know what I mean? So he just became a gang member, and he became a gang leader. You know what I'm saying? Because he could fight so well. You know? So during his time running in and out, he kept getting locked up. And back then, they would lock you up for the petty crimes. He wasn't doing no real major crimes, stealing out of stores, just trying to survive, a young kid, you know what I'm saying? And while he was in a juvenile facility, he learned how to box. You know what I mean? He started learning how to box. So we're going to fast forward to, 1974. You know what I'm saying? So now, he's been training and he's ready to get into the fight game. He still don't know, have no recollection of who his family is. He still go by the name of, Matthew Franklin. That's who he became, Matthew Franklin. So his first fight, he didn't fare too well, you know what I mean? But he was tough. He was a tough guy, man. A very, very tough fighter. They say that, he was a fierce competitor. Like, he would be losing his fights. He got classics fights. You know what I mean? If you go back and look at some of his fights, he has some of the most iconic fights. Everything about an iconic fighter, this guy exemplified, even to this day, he's a Hall of Fame boxer and all that. But growing up was tough for him, Like I said, he's from South Philly. That's when gangs were prevalent back then. So he was from one of the most notorious gangs in the city, But he honed his boxing skills, And in '74, he got out there and he started fighting. He took his first pro fight, in 77. You know what I mean? And after just 21 fights, they put him in there with a veteran. You know what I mean? They put him in there with a real tough guy. This guy was the National American Boxing Federation champ. And what's up, Mr. Triggs? Good to see you in the building. Now, 21 fights back then was nothing for a guy, and they put him in there with, the North American Boxing Federation champion, and he winds up knocking him out. He wins in the 12th round. He took him to 12 rounds and he wins. You know what I mean? Now, Matt Franklin, he's a champion now, So the North American Boxing Federation Championship, it's not big, but for a guy like that and coming from where he came from, that was big for him, and he just became more dedicated, to boxing. And in that time, like I said, back then in the 70s, Philadelphia was becoming a lot of people were converting to Islam during that time in Philadelphia. And, a lot of the guys that became some of the converts were the drug dealers, the gang members and things of that nature. They started going to the masjids and the mosques and getting the truth and the knowledge and stuff. And Matt Franklin was one of them boys, you know what I'm saying? So he went down and he became one of the brothers. And during his transformation, he changed his name. He changed his name to Matthew Saad Muhammad. That became his boxing name, Matthew Saad Muhammad. You know what I'm saying? So by 79, you know what I mean, he had established himself. He was a light heavyweight, mind you. You know what I'm saying? 5'11", you know what I'm saying? He was always, Saad Muhammad was a natural light heavyweight. He wasn't one of them guys like today where he gotta he always was in shape. Like the fighters of old, they always, were in shape because they would be ready to fight on call. Not like it is today. They give you 2 years to get ready for a fight and you still can't make the weight. In those days, they also had 50. Yeah, he was a 15-round fighter, young Riaz. Yeah, Saad Muhammad came from the era of the 15-round fighters. You know what I'm saying? I think I might have put on my first pair of gloves back in 76 when that was the time, because everybody was really into boxing during that time, because that was the year of the Olympics, if y'all remember. And they had the Spinks brothers, they had Sugar Ray Leonard, Howard Davis, and Sugar Ray Leonard was the guy. And everybody, young kid, you know what I'm saying, they wanted to be like Sugar Ray. So a lot of young kids in the ghetto and the neighborhoods and communities, we started to get a lot more into the boxing thing around that time. Yeah, 15 rounds, Patty Betty. They go a whole 15, not like today, So he got the challenge for the WBC light heavyweight championship against another guy from Philadelphia by the name of Marvin Johnson. Now, Marvin Johnson was an old head from Philadelphia. He was slick as oil in the ring, man. Like Marvin, they said that Marvin Johnson used to beat Saad Muhammad up in the ring and sparring all the time. You know what I'm saying? Because if that to this day, if you want to get the best sparring, you could come to Philadelphia, because some of the sparring sessions in Philadelphia be better than real fights, because it's always a high level of competition. So they say that Marvin Johnson, he used to spank what's the name, Saad in the in training sessions. Now, not the bare knuckles. That's way back, me and mine's bare knuckle fighting. That's a whole different, When they had the bare knuckle, mostly it was the you punch me, I punch you back. It wasn't a lot. When Jack Johnson came into fighting, there were guys before Jack Johnson that like Langford. They were guys before him, but fighting has totally evolved since the bare knuckles. But yeah, so he fought Marvin Johnson, for that WBC light heavyweight crown. They call it a classic showdown. If anybody, a boxing fan, you go back and check out Matthew Saad Muhammad and Marvin Johnson, the first fight. A young Riaz, do you remember Prince Nassim Hamed? He was a boxer. He was real good. He was slick, man. I used to like the Prince. You remember him? So yeah, he won that fight and he became the champ, and down, what that brings to the neighborhood. And that's where the legendary status of Saad Muhammad come in, because like Saad was the guy who went back to the hood, gave all his money away, man, just took care of people, man, just an all around, Prince Nassim, Saad just took care of the people, man, Cadillacs was the things back then. Saad had a white cat. He had a Fleetwood. He had the Fleetwood with the all white with the red interior and shit, the red top. You know what I'm saying? So that's how he was rolling, man. And he was the champ. But he was trying to find his family, though. When he got famous, he started getting that money. He started looking for his folk, man. And this how I got to know about. I got a better understanding and who this guy was. So Saad started looking for his family, man, and they had it all in the newspaper. The Philadelphia Inquirer, the Daily News, about the professional boxing champion who family, put him out on a step of the church, blah, blah, blah. Now, I lived in the projects out that time too. I'm from Wilson Park Project, and it was an old head who, used to live out the projects too. His name was Footy. Mr. Footy, come to find out, that was the brother who left Saad on a step. Footy. We start calling Footy Saad Muhammad because he went to the newspaper. He told, and he was a wino. He was an alcoholic and shit, Mr. Footy. He was an old dude and shit, but he was Saad's brother, man. And that's how we knew Saad Muhammad and shit. Saad Muhammad came out the projects. They had the little news thing out there about how his brother left him and how they reconnected. And, and that was that right there changed, like Saad changed a little bit. I ain't going to say change. You know what changed Saad? The same thing that do most fighters and shit. Saad Muhammad started messing with he started indulging in the drugs. You know what I'm saying? And plus, back then, man, if you didn't have in the fight game, the fighter is considered dog meat. You know what I mean? The fighter, he's dog meat. He's expendable. You know what I'm saying? And the fighter, if you ain't got people who care about you and they care more about the business, you're not going to make no money in the fight game. You're going to get used and abused. And the style of fighting that Saad Muhammad had, it was just bound to happen because he would take a beating for 10, 11 rounds and knock you out in the 12th. You know what I'm saying? He had scar tissue. He'd be bleeding. He couldn't see, but he'd still be fighting. Just check out some of his fights. So he went on to fight some big name fighters back then, like Richie Cates, and then he had a classic bouts with a guy by the name of Yaki Lopez, man. Him and Yaki Lopez have two of the most greatest fights in the history of the light heavyweight division. Absolutely, hands down. Fight of the year. You know what I'm saying? And I'm going to tell you, it says the 8th round of that fight, the 8th round of his fight with Marvin Johnson was considered round of the year by Ring Magazine. And y'all know Ring Magazine is the like the holy grail of boxing. You know what I'm saying? What's up, Truth? Yeah, Saad versus Yaki Lopez, 1 and 2, bro. In 3 rounds, 15-12. Oh yeah, with Dooku Kim and Ray Mancini. Ray Mancini put that man to sleep for real. Young Riaz, he killed Dooku Kim. That was one of the second bodies in the ring, because there were murders before that in the ring. Boxing is a brutal sport. You know, he has some, I'm going to tell you another couple good fights he had. He fought another guy, an Irish guy by the name of Murray Sutherland. Murray Sutherland was a very underrated fighter, but that white boy could bang. See, back then, man, everybody could fight. Everybody can fight. From 1 to 20, you was getting some work put in. You know what I mean? Ain't like it is today. Like every time you turned on ABC, Wild World of Sports, and they had a fight, that's before y'all time. Boom. It was a banger going on, man. It was a banger going on, you know? So now, you know, Saad Muhammad, he got fame and the popularity, you know, during the you know, from that run he had from 76 to like 80, 81, you know what I mean? So like in 81, you know, Saad was out there partying by then, you know. Yeah, Emo Griffin killed Bernie Perret for calling him a gay man, y'all. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, that's heavy there. I seen where Bernie Perret's son met up with Emil Griffin. You know what I'm saying? And they was crying and everything. But one thing, his wife, she was like, Nizar, I don't want to see that, man. But yeah, Saad, you know, he doing his thing. And by that time, it was a boy by the name of Dwight Braxton. He was from Jersey. They called him the Camden Buzzsaw. He was knocking niggas out. He fought like Joe Frazier. He was one of them guys who had one of the perpetual smiles on their face. The Camden Buzzsaw, he had a perpetual smile on his face, man. And he was just running through the light heavyweight division, man. And him and Saad Muhammad, they got it on, man. You know what I'm saying? And, you know, he knocked Saad Muhammad out in 10 rounds in the first fight, man. And I'm going to tell y'all, man, y'all can see, like, through the years, you don't have to be an old fighter to lose reflexes in the fighters. The first thing to go, and Saad he had lost his reflexes because the type of style of fighter he was, man. He was never going to have a long career because he wasn't a boxer at all. He was a straight up brawler. Let's get in the phone booth. Let's get busy. Tie the shoestrings together and let's get busy. Yeah, Joe Frazier. Yeah, that's what they called the white Kwawi, the Camden Buzzsaw. They called him Little Smoking Joe. You know what I mean? Plus, you know, the White Braxton was hungry at that time. he had just came out of a Rahway State Penitentiary. You feel me? He was in, if y'all know anything about Rahway State Prison, Rahway had one of the first boxing programs that was national, so national that ABC went behind the walls and did a fight with a guy that was locked up named, what was his name? James Scott. James Scott was locked up for some armed robberies, but he was a contender at the time, the light heavyweight division. And the thing about it was, man, I'm gonna tell you who was in that jail at the time. James Scott was in the jail. Reuben Hurricane Carter was in the jail. What's the Spanish boy name? What's that Spanish boy name that kept catching the Scrammy cases and shit? Tony Ayala, he was over at Rahway. And Dwight Braxton was at Rahway. All them bangers was at Rahway, man. Could you believe that? Well, anyway, Dwight knocked Saad out, man. And that was his downfall. From there, Saad, he got another fight with Dwight Braxton. And he lost again. You know what I mean? He took a break from boxing for a minute. And he was doing good, actually, around that time. Saad Muhammad was dating a lady by the name what was her name? She was a DJ on one of the biggest syndicated radio stations in Philadelphia, WDAS. Not Patty. I forget her name. Yeah. So anyway, he was doing, and at this time, he had a white Rolls Royce because he used to pull it up in front of the barber shop. You know what I'm saying? He had the white Rolls Royce then. And he used to pull up in front of the barber shop, and you see Saad at the now, this is in the 80s and shit now, early 80s. So I was running around then. So you see Saad in the clubs, and damn, I forgot the name of the lady name he was dating, man. But then, Saad, a fighter only makes money when he fights, unless he's huge, like he got that Olympic pedigree, which gets you some endorsements and stuff like that. You maybe have got in a movie or two. I think Saad got a part in a movie or something, or a TV show. And then his finances, started catching up with him. You know what I mean? Once them finances start catching up with a brother, man, he living out there on City Line Avenue. He driving the Rolls Royce. He, the diamonds and the lifestyle. He living a life, What Young Riaz talking about? Kickboxing? Oh, you talking about the fight with the heavyweight boxer and the UFC boxer?
Fucked up now. I know what's going on? Hey. You want a pair, still want a pair, not for one a pair. Body parts everywhere. Some was here, some are there. Unaware, vest on, you gon' put me underwear. All I wanna hear is what's that shirt your baby mother wear.
In the trenches, and hell nah, you ain't coming there. Damn why I shoot the crib, but he had his son in there. Tell her turn your favorite outfit to some summer wear. Have your face on some t-shirts that your mother wear.
Fuck a couple shots, so I'll probably bring 100 there. Then send your mama your blood back to some Tupperware. Ain't no better feeling than catch her out when he unaware. Your bitch called me the pipeline, she need plumbing there.
You know I don't fucking care, line you up like I'm cutting hair. Pop the trunk, you get stuffed in there with no fucking hair. Pull strings like a puppeteer. Have my youngin' get up close range like Tampa Bay. Top shelf gun up there, 12 baggies, it's a ton up there. Hope you said bye to your 50 if you come in here. Niggas scared, 2 jaws coming pairs. Got his folks running scared. Track runs only coming money there. Get your feelings hurt, I put you in a hearse. Get sent to church, I peel half this 30 like I split a
I was a sinner first, God forgive, I put in plenty work. I never snitched, they have to kill me first. Seen mama's cry when that semi
In
burst.
the kitchen within the pot, put my wrist to work. Book bag, hold a pound, it's that different work. Remember holding my first gun, like how this shit could work. First nigga ain't hit his head, but I ain't miss a shot.
Hey, rock for that big cat, we aiming at they fitted first. Swamp said Tupperware, let's see if niggas little work. Do you bad, cold as Minnesota on December 1st. Leave them on the corner leaking and needed some dinner work. I came from the dirt and I seen so much work that I ain't know it was work. I came from the bottom though. What's your man book one phrase, nigga? I don't know. If it don't feel right, stand on it, gotta go.
Domino, sidekicks a body in designer clothes. Trap house cooking like Papados. Really with the drama though. Man, I'll bring it to your mama though. Knock, knock, then I let the llama blow.
Soldier leaping out of the chopper yelling Geronimo. I give a nigga a busy schedule. It's your time to go. Nigga came out of the swamp. It ain't no drowning. Hold the thermostat and hang out the window. I change the climate on it.
Gang bang, DT throw it up, I got the vomit flow. Block jumping, jump out, fiends yell Geronimo. Jack boys, stripping niggas, putting niggas on the pole. Grade A, my weed and my daughter made the honor roll.
Nigga, this the gangland. Them bullets give a nigga spray tans. Hollows hit his knees, made him break dance. Nigga, I don't shake dance, cause I'll leave a nigga shot. Easy, hurry up and spin the fucking block.
Mr. Spin your block, OT drop off, Airbnb, call me Mr. Richard Spot. Got me running to the Glock, strap gunning for the ops. I'm the charger, use the side, plug me in the knot.
Yeah. We back active again. Shut up.
What's up? What's up? What's up? Turned Up TV. That sound live. That sound like something I would watch. Some Turned Up TV. Salute to you. Yeah. So the girl named the DJ that he messed was dating at the time. Her name was Mimi Brown. Truth, you remember Mimi Brown used to work for WDAS? That's who Saad was dating at the time. I ain't know Leon used to live up on City Line. I know Leon used to frequent Philadelphia though. Leon used to train with Slim Jim Robinson, Tim Witherspoon's trainer. You know what I mean? Leon couldn't really fight. He was just a strong country boy. He couldn't really box. He was a little heavyweight. He was small for a heavyweight. So, okay, my man Saad, you know, he's falling on some hard times now. So he got to get back in the ring. You know what I'm saying? So he gets back in the ring. He's taking, he's doing what they call the, if it was the chitlin circuit, basically. You know, he's not getting the big fights. He's not making no real money. You know, he went from being a world champion, you know, making hundreds of thousands to, you know, fighting, you know, cupcakes for, you know, for 5,000, 4,800, you know, 2,700, you know what I mean? And then you gotta mind you, man, if you say you get a fight, man, and you get $5,000 and you got a trainer, he probably get 1,500. You know, you got your cut man and shit, he probably get 500. So then you got your training, your gym, your expenses. You know, you probably walk away about $700 after the fight. That's why they call fighters dog meat. You know what I'm saying? You're a professional, you're a pro wrestling fan. What do you mean pro wrestling? Like WWE? Young Riaz? That's pro wrestling? That's the kind of pro wrestling you watch? Sometimes you watch boxing. So yeah, so now I'm taking these weak fights, and he like I said, his skills had declined. He wasn't as dedicated to the fight game anymore. He was really chasing a dollar now, you know what I'm saying? And that's the worst thing you can do as a professional fighter, man, being there just to be trying to earn a living, because you get killed in that, as we know. So, it got so bad, man, with the drugs and, the alcohol and the depression and life just beating him up. And like I said, man, lose fame and fortune is a hell of a thing, man. That affects people a whole lot of different ways, man, when you don't hear the roar of the crowd no more, Spinks had heart and just depression tell you, well, yeah, that wasn't going to work against everybody. That's a fact, true. Yeah, so with that happening, man, Saad Muhammad became homeless, man. Destitute. He was out there in the streets, man, begging for change, man. And, Saad was doing real bad. His health had declined. And, the drugs, he was more drug fueled than anything, man. And I think around 80, sometime in the early 90s, late 90s. Nah, it had to be earlier than that. He checked himself into a men's shelter, and ain't nobody know who he was. You know what I'm saying? How do you know that? How do you know this guy? M3, I know this guy because, and it used to be a gym on Snyder Avenue called South Philly Gym. That's where everybody would go. That's where all the fighters would go. That's where people would train at. And that's where, they had legendary trainers down there. The trainer used to train a guy named, he was from Fish Street. Then Jolton Jeff Chandler, because those are my favorite fighters. My favorite fighters was a guy named Tyrone Everett. He was from Tasker Projects, 31st Street. He Jeff Chandler, you know what I mean? My old head Earl Hargrove, and Saad Muhammad. And most of them used to train at South, and I'm from South Philly, South Broad Street right there. So that's the gym I wanted to go to. You know what I'm saying? So I used to always go in the South Philly gym, you know what I mean? Slide in and, get a rope or something and just watch and shit. I learned how to hit the speed bag in there, you know what I'm saying? And that's how I got my encounter with most of the fighters. And then I start moving around the other gyms, you know what I mean? 28th Street at West Philly, the Executioners. But I know Saad from being in the gym. That's why I know Saad Muhammad from. And then as I got older and was doing my thing, hustling and shit like that, and the clubs and shit like that, with the players and all that shit, I used to see Saad in the club. He used to be with Mimi Brown and all that shit, you know what I'm saying? And I used to be with my guys and stuff like that. But yeah, that's the relationship I got with Saad. But I know Footy Saad Muhammad very well. Footy lived out my way. I knew Footy all my life. And that was his brother. Footy was the one that put him on Ben Franklin Parkway. Yeah. He had a big name, but was past his prime. They would throw him in some young bulls. And I remember when he got by Andrew Maynard. Yeah, that's what they do to you, dog meat. Yeah, bantamweight Jeff. That was my old head there, bro. Jeff and Tyrone Everett, Fondy Heyman and guys like that, man. Yeah. My old head Tut, King Tut. I know you know. Ain't true. I know you know about King Tut. Greg King Tut, R.I.P. to Tut. Everybody know about the champ, Tim Witherspoon, Anthony Witherspoon, Big Cuz, But yeah, so Saad in that he in that shelter, man, for men. and ain't nobody know who he was, you know. So I think they wanted they was needing a funding or something, and the people found out who he was, and Saad became like an ambassador. He got himself together, you know. He got off drugs, which was the first thing. You know, I don't even know if Saad Muhammad has any children or anything like that. You know what I mean? But I do know that he had got himself together, and was living 10 from 7th Street, 7th and Emily. He's South Philly, Miss Murph. He from he live on Mercy Street, but that's Emily Street, the next corner. Yeah, that's the next corner. Yeah. But if that's what if you ever ran into him, you ask him where you from, he say 7th and Emily. Shout out to Emily Street. But yeah, Saad became the ambassador of the halfway house, the men's shelter, and he got himself back on his feet. You know what I mean? And he began to help. You're welcome. He began to help, other guys who found themselves on hard times and things like that. He began to, try to get, because one thing they don't have in boxing is a pension. Ain't no retirement. It's just dog meat out the pasture as a fighter. And that's why that's a tough sport, man. It's not a joke, you know what I'm saying? Because even when you make money, man, you lose a lot of your cognitive skills due to being punched in the head so many times. You know what I mean? Keep being punched in the head so many times, you lose a lot of your motor skills and shit like that. That's why you see niggas, that impaired speech and the slow motion that come from getting hit upside the head so many times, man. But Saad health began to deteriorate along the way, and then I think it was May of 2014, at the young age of 59, Saad Muhammad passed away, man. And that's the thing about another thing about fighters, man. The lifespan of a fighter is far below the average lifespan of any kind of man. You know what I'm saying? Like, you don't have especially if you are a fighter with the style that he has. Even Floyd Mayweather, all the money Floyd Mayweather made. If you have watched Floyd grow up in boxing, you see that Floyd is sounding more and more like his daddy. Floyd's starting to sound like his dad, yo. You remember when they did the comparison of Meldrick talking before the Chavez fight, and at facts, truth, like after that Chavez fight, Meldrick was no longer the same, bro. Meldrick wasn't no longer. Listen, if Meldrick would have won that fight, his next fight, he would have got knocked out. The rematch, he would have got knocked out. He was done. He was done. And you got to understand another thing with Meldrick. People don't understand and remember the fact that Meldrick was fighting since he was 12 years old. Meldrick was getting hit upside the head since he was 12 years old, bro. Meldrick was in the game fighting amateur. You know what I'm saying? Like, bro, I'd rather not wear headgear. I wish I never put on headgear as an amateur. It's like a double blow. It's almost like a double blow. With all the money Mayweather has made, folks say he has money. And that's crazy, Miss Murph, how a guy like that can have money problems. But then again, having a scrambled brain like that, I can understand it. You know what I'm saying? The only reason why Mike Tyson is no longer in financial ruins is because of his wife. Yeah. Yeah. If it wasn't for her getting his affairs in order, Mike had went through so much money it didn't mean anything anymore. You know what I'm saying? But that's being selfish because you got a family to take care of and all that you went through to obtain, you know what I mean, what your name carries, you should be able to capitalize off that. And when I say she did that, that's what she did. She made it possible for the family to capitalize off his name, even though he can't fight no more. You feel what I'm saying? Yeah, I know his wife. Yeah, I know his wife. I know her stepfather. Her stepfather actually used to be the boss of the black mafia boss of Philadelphia, the E-Man, Shamsuddin Ali. That's Mike Tyson's father-in-law. His daughter is married to Mike. Yeah, I remember when they gave Mike his shahada when he first came home from prison. Y'all remember when he came home from prison? He became Muslim then. And that's when he got hooked up with Shamsuddin's daughter. Yeah. Mayweather, big spender. You know why? Mayweather, I think the Mayweather name can go a long way because he got some pedigree coming through. So Mayweather can carry boxing, and plus he got a good eye for talent as far as the game. And you know, if you can get a good fighter, you can always make money. If you can find a good fighter, man, you can always make money, man. You're gonna make more than he makes. The Duvas threw him in there against Terry Nar. Yeah. Hey, well, you know the Duvas were in it for money, man. You know that. The Duvas didn't have no soon as the nigga couldn't fight no more, the Duvas was done with you. You know what I'm saying? My folks had a deal on the table. They was going Lou Duva was going to sign him, but he had he didn't want to deal with the Muslims and stuff. Earl Hargrove was going to he was on the table to fight Marvin Hagler for the middleweight title, but he had to get through John the Beast Mugambi in the junior middleweight division, and the Beast knocked him out. You know what I mean? Out there in Texas and shit, man. In the first round, man, we was disappointed. Hey, Ish, how you doing today? Good to see you in the building. Yeah, we was distraught, man, when the Beast knocked out goddamn Earl, man. I used to like Terry Norris, man. Terry Norris was a tough fighter. Very tough. Very tough. Yeah, he had that brain damage. Do y'all remember the kid Gerald McCullough, who had the severe brain damage after the fight with I forgot who he fought, but y'all see how what's that nigga name? What's that nigga name that can't die? Don King. Don King is a leper, man. Don King has destroyed men. Yeah, man. I seen Don King make grown men go crazy. You remember that fighter he drove crazy? He got in the ring and he wouldn't fight no more. He kept turning his back. Y'all remember that? Yeah, you remember. Yeah, Mugambi was see, I'm going to tell you truth. We could have beat Mugambi, man. That all Mugambi had was an overhand right. He couldn't fight and he ain't had no gas tank. See, but Earl, being from the streets, he thought it was going to be Earl thought he was a knock because you remember Earl Hargrove was 28-0 with 28 knockouts. You feel me? So he thought he was going to go in there and whoever hit who first. I appreciate you, Ish. I appreciate you tapping in for my stories, yo. Shout out to you. Yeah, so yeah, but on some real, man, I never that's why Hagler did him like that. Hagler ain't knock him out, but he beat him up. Yeah, you remember when Oliver McCall went crazy? Yeah, Don King. Don King. Don King, yo, I remember when Tim fought Frank Bruno in London, England for the heavyweight title. Tim went all the way to London, okay, and won that fight. I think his purse was supposed to be $500,000. They had, let me tell you how they had him messed up. First of all, Carl King, who was Don King's son, was Tim's manager, conflict of interest, who was also, Don was promoting the fight. And all of them were signed to Don King. I think Tim got $50,000 from that $500,000 check. Yeah, absolutely. He robbed Tim. He robbed the shit out of Tim. Made him sign a no non-disclosure settlement out of court. I think Tim got about $5 million out of the settlement. But yo, yeah, Mike Tyson caught Don King in Vegas one time and beat the bullshit out of him. Y'all might not know about that. He put hands on Don King, beat the shit out of Don King, man. King take everybody money, man. King been, you know what I'm saying? Listen, bro, Don King was a motherfucking Cleveland gangster. Don King beat his way out of a murder case. Don King stomped the man to death when he was running them numbers back in the days in Cleveland. You know what I'm saying? Don King been a cutthroat, man. Ain't no punk either. Don ain't never been no punk either. That's why he lasts so long in this game. Because if you remember, man, the game was controlled by the gangsters, man. Back in the 50s, 60s and shit like that. Joe Louis and all of them, the gangsters controlled the fight game. You know what I'm saying? I think the last heavyweight the gangsters controlled was my man, the big dog that Ali beat. Yeah, George Foreman said that was the hardest punch he ever. Sonny Liston. He said Sonny was the hardest punch he ever felt. I think that was the last heavyweight that the gangsters controlled. Sonny Liston. Real gangsters or wannabe. I'm talking about the mafia, the Italian mafia, the Jewish mafia. You know, I'm talking about them guys. Lucky Luciano and them. Yeah, Sonny, big Sonny. George Foreman said he never been hit no harder than by Sonny Liston. Yeah, man, but Matthew Saad Muhammad, man, I believe that his career could have went a whole lot further. But like I say, man, Philly is tough, bro. And once you come up in Philly, if you ever been down, you don't leave the people. You know what I'm saying? It's always, you know, you're gonna always go back and take care of your peoples, man. And that 9 times out of 10 is your downfall. You know what I mean? Because you know, Saad used to go broke out there, man. You know what I mean? Then when he didn't have it, nobody took him in, man. That's crazy, man. How you could do so much for so many people, man. And then when you down to nothing, man, it's nobody you could turn to, man. And that be the story. That's a lot of people's stories, man. And it'd be like, yo, I know you helped a lot of people, but did you cross a lot of people too? Like I can understand him never having a sense of family. You know what I'm saying? He would never, ever have a sense of family. He had abandonment issues. You know that. And you never know what kind of abuse a child goes through being raised in the foster care system. I can imagine that's why he became such a hell of a fighter. He got tired of people messing with him, man. I can imagine the things he went through as a young child growing up in the foster care system back then in the fucking 60s? What? The way he was doing niggas in the 80s, I could imagine what happened to him in the 60s. So yeah, man, he probably used drugs as a way of coping. You know what I'm saying? He probably never got a real. He probably didn't get diagnosed because I'm quite sure he suffered from a lot of mental illnesses. You know, even due to the fighting. You know what I'm saying? You know, heavy though, man. He was always a good guy, man. I always admired Matthew Saad Muhammad, man. I always loved his fighting style, man. Always, you know. They inducted him into the Boxing Hall of Fame, man. You know, so he's not no run-of-the-mill fighter here. I'm talking about, you know, this is not some everyday. He's actual legend in Philadelphia and all throughout the fight world. You know what I'm saying? You talk Matthew Saad Muhammad, they're gonna say, yeah, that's one of the greatest light heavyweights that ever did it. You know what I'm saying? You know? Yeah, I personally seen him work in the gym. You know, I seen a lot of guys work in that gym, boy. You know, that went on to become some real champions. Yeah, actual champions in the game. You know, we produce a lot of fighters out of here, a lot of ballers. I know cats though. Like it was this old head around my way in my project. His name was Wendell. You know what I'm saying? Wendell, man, shit. Yeah, drunk Wendell, man. Before he started drinking, man, that motherfucker was sharp as a tack, man. He was like a man. He was a Sugar Ray Leonard before Sugar Ray Leonard, yo. And he started drinking. He had got heavy on the bottle, man, at a young age. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, he got. But man, before he started drinking, and he used to be in that gym because we actually had a gym in our project. You know what I'm saying? So you can get up on Saturday morning and go straight to the gym. And the older guys, they would be in there working first. Yeah, I remember Frankie Mitchell. Frankie Mitchell was on crack. Yeah, I remember Frankie Mitchell. Frankie Mitchell was a tough fighter. You remember my homie Machine Gun Mike Mungin? Mike Mungin recently passed away too. Yeah. He fought Irish Mickey Ward. He had a classic fight with Irish Mickey Ward. Yeah, that's my homie, man. That was my homie there. Yeah, he passed away a couple years ago, right after the COVID. You remember the Blue Horizon? They tore down the Blue Horizon, bro. And they turned Joe Frazier's gym into a furniture store. That's crazy. But it still got the iconic Joe Frazier's gym. I think somebody gonna buy it, man. When I get this money, I'm gonna buy that joint. I would definitely leave that, turn it back into a gym, man. They turned that shit to a furniture store. That's crazy. Yeah, Mike passed away. He was another one that could have been. He was a lightweight. He could have. The streets took a lot from Mike. You know what I mean? And he was one of them guys that, I remember they would call Mike, 20 days notice. You know what I'm saying? Mike go fly right out there, man, knock a nigga out. You know what I'm saying? Like he was just natural. He was natural with that shit. Disrespectful? Who? Yeah, ain't that wrong, Miss Murph? A furniture store, yup. Terrible, terrible. And then they had the nerve to be selling cheap furniture out of there. Yeah, they don't it's new stuff now. They take the like if it's in a black neighborhood and it was like a historic a landmark in the black neighborhood, the black community, they'll tear it down. You know what I'm saying? You know, and put something new up there, man. They don't really take a lot of things as far as that we might consider to be a landmark in our community. They don't feel that way. It's about money. Excuse me. Everything about money, man. Property, value, all that shit, man. Yeah, man, they tore down the Blue Horizon, man. That ain't there no more. But I'm gonna tell you what's still on Broad Street, bro. The Uptown Theater. The Uptown is still there, man, but it's just what that's the word called? Dilapidated. Is that. But I heard they start to work on it. A lot of Philly guys would get motivated to make the title that money fall off. Yup. Yeah, a lot of guys, man. I remember my man Bam Bam. Remember Bam Bam Hines? I remember Bam Bam won the title. I remember Nate Miller won the title. He was a champ. A lot of dudes, man, from the hood, you know what I'm saying? Champs and shit. And, just regular guys, man.
Know what you do to me. Yeah. You know what it is. Oh, I like this. Uh-huh. Bad boy. Yeah. I don't
Yeah, Mr. Murphy, they should do something with that building. That's a historical building, man. You know, back in the day, my brother, my oldest brother, he used to go down there every Saturday because they used to have the Georgie Woods show. You know what I'm saying? The Georgie Woods show was like the Soul Train. You know what I'm saying? And they used to have live bands down there. They used to have groups come down there, and they used to have the kids used to be dancing down there and shit. You know what I'm saying? And the dude Don Cornelius, he stole that and took it syndicate, California, and we came out with Soul Train show. Hold on for a minute, y'all, real quick. My bad. Yes. What's up, bro? Dallas and the Giants. Okay. Don't put your money on the Giants. You put your money on the Giants? 14-9? Dallas? Yeah, okay. That's about right. That's about right. That's about right. I'm on live right now, though. All right. All right, cool. That's cool. All right. Why not? Don't put your money on them goddamn Giants today. Yeah, Don Cornelius, he went and stole that, man, and he blew way up. But Georgie got the chips. My bad, y'all. But yeah, y'all, yeah. If y'all ever want to check out some classic fights and shit like that. Oh yeah, Truth. Bam, and that fight right there. Yeah, man. That and Bam was, Bam had a virus before that fight, man. He wasn't even 100. He would not had took some of the punishment that he took in that fight, even though he did the thing in that fight. But after that fight is when he got that. I think Bam first. I think Bam Hines came. He got that. I think they was driving C class. I remember Bam came out with a crazy car when he after that fight, man. And he was doing a few other things, It's crazy how like a lot of guys that's from the hood and they go on to do other things like boxing, they come back to the hood and be something else, if you know what I mean. But yeah, Bam was running around and shit, man. He lost focus, man. If he'd have just stuck to boxing, I used to always tell them guys, man, yo, man, why don't you stick to boxing? Dancing, you remember Dancing on Air? Dancing on Air was the 80s thing. That was the high school kids of the 80s and shit. I used to go to Dancing on Air, but I ain't going on air, you know what I'm saying? I was carrying a gun by then. I used to go up there to see the crowd. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's right there on Sea Line Avenue. I forgot what TV station used to broadcast Dancing on Air, but it was every day after school. And yeah, if you get up there on time, they'll let you on TV. I wasn't doing that though. Yeah, I know. A lot of people from the hood used to be on Dancing on Air. Darren Van Horn, yeah. Them guys be one-shot deals though. Once they get them guys be good fighters, truth. But you know what I'm saying? Once they get exposed to a nigga who got a bag of tricks, especially Philly fighters, we got a bag of tricks, man. It ain't just one dimension. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? And then at the end of the day, you ain't gotta question the nigga heart in that ring, because nigga might die in that ring. He know what he gotta come back to? Shit. You know what I mean? Nigga, leave it all out there, bro. That's why I love that game, man. But it's hard. It's a hard game, man. It's a hard game. You know, I wouldn't put my son in it. He like it, but I wouldn't. I wouldn't recommend him being a professional fighter because I know he gonna get punch drunk. I know it. It's you know what I mean. I know it. But yeah, I think I'm over my limit, y'all. I appreciate y'all coming in the building, man, on this beautiful Sunday, man. It was a great day today. I mean, as far as the weather and shit on a fall day, man, it was a beautiful day today. You know what I'm saying? Truth, always appreciate you in the building, brother. You know, Petty Betty, me and Mines, Young Riaz, you know, Miss Murph always stopping through. Ish came through. Slewfoot Slim was in the building. You know, salute the Turned Up TV. I gotta tap into Turned Up TV. You know what I'm saying? And I hope I don't miss nobody, man. But y'all have a great weekend. You know what I'm saying? I meant to say, I'm not finished. You know, the weekend's not over. We have a great week. Have a great week, and stay out the way, man. It's the legend, GMT 24/7. Coming live from the 215 where it ain't safe outside. Y'all be easy.